I'm Janie Carrington, 38, youngest of the Carrington family and the founder of VantageSphere, a data analytics firm clawed out of nothing but sleepless nights and ignored warnings. While my siblings were throwing fundraisers and getting legacy placements at Yale, I was debugging Python scripts in a third-floor studio apartment with mold in the ceiling and a deadbolt I didn't trust. They called me the ghost in the family. Not dead, just inconvenient to acknowledge. The morning of the board meeting, I'd been up since 4:30. I don't drink coffee because it spikes my cortisol, so I settled for cold air and silence as fuel. I revised the pitch deck for the 50th time and flagged 2 talking points I knew the Highland Group partners would zero in on. One slip and this funding round would stall. And if it did, our core product, Project Raptor, would flatline with it. I stepped into the building's marble and glass lobby like it was a war zone. Brushed steel logo shining. Scent of eucalyptus and lemon oil clinging to the air. We looked expensive. We had to. The receptionist texted first. Investors arrived. New VP2. Early. Perfect. That gave me 3 fewer minutes to rehearse and 5 more to regret hiring a man I hadn't met in person. I spotted them near the sculpture. Diane from Vertex Capital, Martin from Highland, both smiling too widely at a man with his back to me. Tailored charcoal suit. Salt and pepper fade. He moved like someone who never checked if he was being watched, because he assumed the room belonged to him. Then he turned around. Garrett Thornley. He didn't blink. He looked straight at me, gave me a microsecond once over, then shrugged off his coat and tossed it at me. I need a black coffee, he said, not even breaking his conversation. And hang that up somewhere, sweetheart. Board meetings for execs only. The coat hit my arms before my brain finished processing the command. The receptionist's mouth opened. Diane blinked twice. No one said a word. I stood there for 3 seconds too long. Then I nodded once and turned away. 10 steps. 12. The coat felt heavy. Cashmere blend. Too warm for March in Denver. Then came the scent. Not cologne. Not dust or body odor or dry cleaning plastic. No, this was industrial, metallic, bitter, familiar in a way that sent a cold knife down my spine. Like toner and steel shavings, like evidence rooms, like something that shouldn't be on a corporate jacket unless you worked in data destruction. That's not cologne, I said quietly. That's residue. The coat lay flat across my desk. I hadn't hung it. I wanted to see it, touch it, smell it again. The scent hadn't faded. It lingered like something that didn't belong in clean rooms or boardrooms. It smelled like preparation for something final, something you destroy and don't recover from. I texted Maya only one word. Test. No explanation needed. She'd know what I meant. We'd done this before. The last time, it had led to a non-disclosure settlement and a severed client partnership. This felt bigger. I didn't walk into the boardroom. I arrived. 10 executives. 6 investors. Garrett at the head, like a prize they'd all bought into. He smiled like he owned my company, like he'd already rewritten the narrative and I was just a walking typo. Diane looked relieved when she saw me. Martin didn't. He leaned into Garrett, whispering something behind a cough. Maya entered a beat behind me and slid the presentation remote into my palm like a weapon. Garrett's voice slowed. I smiled. Before we begin, I said calmly, let's clarify roles. I'm Janie Carrington, founder and CEO. You must be Garrett Thornley. The room shifted. Not a sound, but a collective breath, held and forgotten. Garrett's jaw twitched. Misunderstanding, he chuckled. Thought you were someone else. I get that a lot, I replied. Cut scene. 2 hours later, the meeting wrapped. I'd secured unanimous vote on Phase 3 deployment and kept Project Raptor's IP off the shared disclosure sheet. Barely. Garrett didn't challenge. He sat still, too still, calculating. Maya waited in my office with a brown envelope. No words, just a nod. Inside, lab report. Partial trace of diethyl zinc, a volatile compound used in high-end thermal disposal systems. Another line highlighted, graphene particulate residue, non-commercial variant. I exhaled sharply. Not surprise. Confirmation. This wasn't just sabotage. It was preparation to erase. Then came the knock. A young man, late 20s, tall, unsure posture, navy jacket too stiff for comfort. Eyes darted like he'd practiced bravery and lost halfway. He held something in his arms. Another coat. Identical cut. Identical material. I need to talk to Janie Carrington, he said to Maya. She stared. And you are. He hesitated. Sebastian. Sebastian? Sebastian Thornley. The coat in his arms trembled. Cut scene. We sat across each other in the back conference room. I watched the second coat as if it might answer faster than him. I'm not here to cause trouble, he said first. I'm trying to stop it. My silence held the air hostage. I was supposed to switch the coats, he added. That one, he nodded toward my office, wasn't meant for you. I leaned forward. Start talking. My father's working with someone else, he whispered. I don't know who, but he's not just a VP. He's a cleaner. That coat, he wears it when he picks up files that aren't meant to be found again. Define cleaner. He deletes things. People. Records. He's done it before. Whistleblowers, internal leaks. Always through companies about to go public. I blinked. You mean acquisitions? No, I mean vanishing. Cut scene. I stared at him. The son of the man who'd thrown a coat at me was now trying to hand me the same damn one. You switched coats? I asked. He looked down. Tried to. Got the timing wrong. You walked in early. So what did I end up with? Something that can get us both killed. He stood abruptly, pacing. He doesn't know you have it yet. But when he does... A vibration. My phone. Maya. Code breach alert. Root directory. Log. Your credentials. I swallowed hard. Sebastian stared at me. What? They're framing me, I whispered. Now. He paled. Then we're already behind. I checked the logs. Someone had accessed the Raptor Core files at 6:14 a.m. while I was in the lobby. Garrett's using my identity to leak data, I muttered. Smart. Too smart for just him. He nodded slowly. There's someone bigger. The office lights flickered. Once. Then back. I froze. Sebastian's eyes shot to the ceiling. You have surveillance issues? He asked. Not anymore, I said. Now I have a war. You weren't supposed to get the coat, Sebastian whispered. That coat was meant for someone else. Sebastian's hands wouldn't stop shaking. He held the second coat like it might explode. This one is mine, he whispered. Or was supposed to be. I grabbed a pen from the console, held it like a scalpel and lifted the hem. Nothing obvious. No labels. No stitching flaw. No tracker. You sure this isn't some paranoia fantasy? I asked. He looked up. Would I be here if it was? Good point. I stepped back. Something in the lining had weight. Subtle, like a memory card sewn inside. A click of thread, a shallow tear. I slid out a strip of carbon-wrapped foil. Inside, a microdrive, labeled in Sharpie. KS 19/RPT_backup/encrypted. Jesus, I muttered. His plan was to plant the original in yours, Sebastian said. Get it logged under your name, blame you for the leak, then walk away clean. Classic cloak and burn. But when you picked up his coat, he froze. I turned the drive in my fingers. And this one, that's his insurance, his leverage. He keeps two, always. Cut scene. In the lab, Maya ran a surface scan on the foil. No fingerprints. The encryption was non-commercial, military structure. 24-bit keys staggered over 4 firewalls. I watched the waveform dance across the screen. How the hell did he get this tech? Sebastian leaned against the far wall, jaw clenched. My mother was NSA before she vanished. I froze. You're telling me this now? I didn't think it mattered, he muttered, until I saw him wear that coat again. I wanted to scream. Instead, I walked out. People don't change. They just get smarter at hiding the parts they used to be ashamed of. Cut scene. We broke into Garrett's office after hours. The janitorial badge Maya cloned worked. One swipe, one beep, one heartbeat in my throat. Inside, too clean. No clutter. One laptop on a stand. A glass wall facing the city. Framed degrees on the left, all with Latin seals. Nothing out of place. I scanned for safes, hidden drawers, a second phone. Sebastian moved faster than I expected, like he'd done this before. He reached behind a painting, found a flush panel lock. I watched him punch it in once. It's his birthday backwards. What is it with men and ego passwords? The drawer clicked, opened. Inside, another drive, different from the last, heavier, marked only with a red slash. I grabbed it, tucked it into my jacket. Then the lights flickered. I turned fast. Sebastian held up a finger. Footsteps. 2 pairs. We dove under the desk. I killed the monitor light with my palm. Click. Door opened. Garrett's voice. I don't care what she suspects. If she connects the access logs to Raptor, we have a window of 48 hours, max. Another voice. Older. Male. She won't. She still believes you're just arrogant, not capable. She's starting to believe I'm capable of everything. Silence. Then the sound of liquid being poured. Ice. Whiskey. Classic. I'll deliver the package tonight, Garrett continued. Then it's Monroe's problem. Package. My skin prickled. The coat? The drive? Or something else? Cut scene. After they left, I stood in Garrett's office and realized the one rule of survival I'd broken. Never assume timing favors you. I checked my phone. Missed call. Maya. Voicemail. Janie, someone spoofed your badge ID. There's a legal notice in the system. Raptor's patent is being challenged by someone named K. Silas. Filed this morning. Under your name. I stared at the glass. My reflection blurred by city light. They're not just framing me, I said. They're preparing to erase me. Sebastian didn't speak. He didn't need to. That's when the security alarm tripped. Silent but red. The panel blinked. We ran. Down the fire stairs. 18 floors. My lungs burned. His footfalls behind me, matching pace. One rule I've learned from the people who survive this world. Never outrun the story. Get ahead of it. We burst through the sublevel into the garage. Cut scene. Sebastian leaned against a pillar, breath short. I didn't sign up for this, he said. You did, I snapped. The second you gave me the wrong coat. He looked at me. Not scared now. Resigned. Then I guess I'm stuck on your side. The alarm light blinked red. I turned to Sebastian. We're not stealing a coat anymore. We're stealing time. The next morning came cold and gray. Denver's skyline looked sharpened by frost. The light bent through high-altitude haze. I didn't sleep. Sebastian crashed on my office couch when I open all night. I stared out my window, coffee untouched. Everything moved faster now. Breaths, risks, consequences. The kind of storm where you either run into it or get swept under by it. Most people mistake silence for weakness, I muttered. But silence is where the most dangerous plans begin. My laptop pinged. An encrypted message. No sender ID. AMC has moved. Ballroom. 10:30. Don't bring your badge. My heart dropped. AMC. Advanced Media Consortium. One of our highest value clients. And now, apparently, part of whatever this operation really was. 10:12 a.m. I grabbed my coat, not his, and turned to Sebastian. Let's go. The ballroom was at the top of the Corwin Hotel. Gold walls, crystal chandeliers, white linens like it was someone's wedding. It wasn't. There were 7 people in the room, for I recognized AMC execs, 2 men in dark, gray suits who never spoke, and Nolan Harper, my older brother. I froze. Sebastian stood beside me, eyes darting, shoulders squared. Nolan smiled like he'd been expecting me. Didn't think you'd show, he said. Figured you'd still be too busy playing detective in Garrett's closet. My hands curled into fists. What the hell are you doing here? He walked closer, every step rehearsed. AMC's restructuring. They've asked me to consult on IP strategy, especially Raptor. My throat dried. You sold me out. He leaned in, whispered, You were never meant to win, Janie. You were meant to build. That's what little sisters are good at. Why AMC? I asked, Why Raptor? Because it's not just software, he hissed. It's control, data patterns, predictive movement, surveillance, the kind governments kill for. You knew about Garrett. Garrett works for me. Cut scene. Outside in the hallway, I nearly vomited. Sebastian didn't speak for a full minute. I told you someone bigger, he finally said. I didn't think it would be your brother. I should have, I breathed. He always played the long game. We moved fast, no time for panic. Raptor's core access was being transferred through a shell account tied to AMC's legal team. The signature? Mine. Forgery. Deep fake. But one slip from them, and I could catch it. We need to find the document trail, I said. Whatever Garrett delivered last night. It's digital now. Filed somewhere. Maybe Nolan's server. No, Sebastian cut in. We go one step higher. I turned to him. You ever hear of K. Silas? He asked. My blood chilled. He filed the challenge, I whispered. He doesn't exist, Sebastian replied. Not really. It's a code name. Nolan used it back at Stanford. For off-book projects. Dangerous ones. I blinked. So Silas is Nolan? No, he said. Silas is his ghost. The one who signs things no one's allowed to see. Maya called at 1:22 p.m. Her voice was sharp. Too sharp. Check your company Slack. Now. I opened the app. Pinned at the top of the All Hands channel, a PDF. Statement from the board, Janie Carrington placed on administrative leave pending investigation. No logo, no signature, just bold, centered text. I wasn't just being erased from the files. They were erasing me in real time. Sebastian leaned over. They're moving faster than I thought. And I need to move louder, I replied. We drove straight to Ridgepoint Legal Depository, the last neutral site I could access. I had backup servers there, mirrored archives, physical contracts. At the gate, I enter my access code. Invalid. Tried again. Access revoked. Someone was watching, not just from inside the company, from inside my life. You okay? Sebastian asked. I laughed. Okay is an exit I missed 12 miles ago. He said nothing, just pulled out his phone and typed. Who are you texting? I asked. A contact. One I trust. Define trust. She saved my life once. That's either love or leverage. Inside the vault, under fluorescent lighting, I dug through a backup envelope labeled JS Confidential. Found it. A contract. The original investor agreement. It had Nolan's signature, and a clause no one had seen. A fallback provision that in case of malicious board action or asset seizure, full voting rights returned to the founder. Me. I could trigger it, but only if I proved malicious intent. That meant catching Garrett. On record. Admitting the data switch. The framing. The coat. It had to happen tonight. A gala. AMC's funding announcement. Public. Press. Cameras. Board members. If I could get Garrett to talk, just once, I'd win everything back. And if I failed, I'd be remembered as a CEO who vanished under scandal. I need to bait him, I said. Tonight. Sebastian nodded. Then we switch roles. What? You become the decoy. I become the ghost. I stared at him. He was right. But there was one problem. I don't know what I'll do, I whispered. If he looks me in the eye and smiles like it's already over. I stood outside the grand entrance to the AMC gala, like it was the front line of a war I didn't know I'd signed up for. Inside, chandeliers glowed like a battlefield's flare. Waiters in black tie glided across marble floors. Glasses clinked, and cameras waited. Power loves public places, I'd said once to Maya, because it always wants an audience. Tonight was the audience. I checked my reflection in the polished double doors. Makeup perfect. Hair sleek. But nothing hid the tension in my jaw. Nothing hid the fact that this night would decide whether I walked out in control or under indictment. Sebastian stood beside me. Calm. Too calm. We do this together, he said. I nodded. Then we stepped in. The room swallowed us. Conversations fizzed like static. Investors, journalists, board members, so many expressions frozen in polite smiles and hidden agendas. Makes you wonder, I whispered, if every smile is just a countdown. We were 3 minutes in when I spotted him. Garrett Thornley under a spotlight, pint in hand, grinning like a puppeteer about to cut the strings. He didn't see me yet. Good. I moved. Past servers with trays of champagne that smelled too sweet. Past a quartet playing music softer than a heartbeat but louder than silence. I reached the bar. Guards everywhere. Contract security. Unmarked badges. Eyes too alert. My breath quickened. I watched Garrett raise his glass. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, a new era for AMC and Vantage Sphere. Applause. Then the projection screens lit. My face, standing tall. But then, his voice, live, from earlier in Garrett's office. I heard it before anyone else did. I don't care what she suspects. If she connects the access logs to Raptor, we have a window of 48 hours, max. Gasps rippled. The screen flickered. That was my shot. I raised my hand. Excuse me, I said, walking toward the stage. Security shifted. Eyes tracking. Cameras zooming. This was it. Then something unexpected happened. Sebastian wasn't beside me. I turned. He stood still, hand over his mouth, staring at his phone. A new message. From an unknown number. 3 words flashed. He knows. Run. My heart dropped. I spun back to the stage. Garrett was smiling, too knowingly. And then the music died. The room went silent. A spotlight hit me. Direct. Blinding. Someone spoke from behind the mic. Ms. Carrington. Care to explain this? Garrett's grin widened. My breath caught. I glanced down at Sebastian's phone in his hand. The message changed. Now it read, "Don't move. He's watching." My skin crawled. There was a moment, just a second, when the world seemed to freeze, slow motion ticking. A waiter dropped a tray. Glass shattered. Crimson spread. And I knew the distraction was intentional. A reveal was coming. Security closed in. But not toward Garrett. Toward me. Step away from the podium, one guard commanded. My pulse thundered. I remembered something I once said under far less pressure. Where there is fear, there is a story waiting to be rewritten. Tonight, that story was mine to rewrite or die attempting. I raised both hands slowly. Then I walked toward the stage. Everyone watched. Every eye in the room locked onto me. Garrett leaned in close to his microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "our next speaker, Ms. Carrington. She'll explain her unauthorized access and illegal activity." A murmur spread, but then the twist hit. A new projection flickered on the other screens. Not my face. Not Garrett's. It was someone else. Nolan Harper. My brother. The words underneath his image were simple. Confessions of a Ghost. My role in AMC. The room erupted. Gasps. Whispers. Security froze. Sebastian's face was white. I took the microphone. Quietly. Deliberately. My brother was always good with loopholes, I said. He believed information is power, and power should stay with those who understand consequences. Nolan's face remained on the screen. No fear, no remorse, just cold calculation. The tension spiked. People leaned in, not knowing what would explode next. Suddenly, the room lights cut. Complete blackout. Screams. Footsteps running. Chaos. And then, just before everything went white, a recorded voice echoed through speakers hidden above. This gala is now evidence. Anyone who moves is a suspect. Silence. Then panic. I looked at Sebastian. He whispered, breath tight like a held breath about to break. We're not safe here. And he was right. The room wasn't just a ballroom anymore. It was a trap. The helicopter blades whirred like distant thunder. Night had swallowed the city. Amber lights danced on steel. I stood at the edge of the rooftop helipad, wind slicing through my coat. My breath came in short shards. Sebastian was beside me, eyes burning with fear and resolve. Behind us, the gala noise had dwindled to echoes far below. This was where it ended, or began again. When you've been to the edge, I whispered, you realize falling is sometimes the only way to fly. But tonight wasn't about flight. It was about survival. Silas Monroe stepped out of the shadows, tall, unshaken, with that same cold certainty I'd seen in photographs of historic villains. A briefcase in his hand. Security guards circled behind him. Not here to help me. Here to contain me. You should have walked away, Ms. Carrington, he said. His voice was calm. Too calm. He extended the briefcase like a peace offering. Sign here, he said, and leave this mess behind. AMC goes global. You retain a consultancy role. Quietly. Privately. I looked at the briefcase. Contracts. NDA lines thicker than prison bars. Underneath, a check with numbers that would make a president blush. I smiled, slow and cold. Power is like quicksand, I said. The more you struggle to control it, the deeper you sink. Silas tilted his head. I see you understand. His mouth curled into something like amusement. Then everything shifted. A gunshot cracked. Not from Silas. From behind. Garrett, standing several feet away, panting, one hand on the gun, unsteady, wild. You promised me control. Garrett snarled. Yes, Silas said, unaffected. Over the company. Not her. The gun vibrated in Garrett's fist. A single shot rang out. Concrete chips exploded. We ducked low. Sebastian hit the ground. Silas didn't flinch. That told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't one man unhinged. This was strategy. Cold. Tactical. I lunged. Sebastian rolled, avoiding flying concrete. Garrett's eyes were like embers. The wind shifted icy against my neck. I pulled the red drive from my jacket, the one we stole from his hidden drawer. He saw it. Recognition crashed across his features. Give it to me, he hissed. I raised my voice. Not for him. For every witness out there. For everyone who thinks power is something you inherit. The rooftop speakers commissioned for gala announcements crackled to life. Security must have synced them. My voice echoed through the night. Garrett, Thornley conspired to fabricate data leaks, falsify IP rights, manipulate internal logs, and cooperate with AMC in an illicit takeover plot. Gasps carried up from below, distant but real. Garrett froze. His finger trembled on the trigger. Then a second shot rang out. Silas staggered. Maya. She appeared out of nowhere, rifle lowered. Sebastian stared. "Never bring a gun to a brain fight," Maya said, breath sharp. Garrett dropped to his knees. The gun fell. Metal thud. Silas clutched his shoulder, crestfallen. Security flooded the rooftop. The city looked serene from above, lights unknowing, unaware. I exhaled. Tension dissolved like smoke. Sirens wailed in the distance. Good. Faster was better. Handcuffs clicked. Garrett, Silas. 2 men who thought power was control. Now confined. Sebastian handed the red drive to the federal agent. "This contains proof of conspiracy, tampering, and coercion." Agents nodded. Photos were taken. Statements recorded. Public record now. I walked to the edge again. The wind had calmed. Wisps of cloud drifted like silent witnesses. Night held its breath. Below, the city pulsed. Alive. Real. Unmanipulated. I took out my phone. Typed a single message to Maya. "File it all. Mandatory disclosure. Every byte." Maya replied instantly. "Done." I didn't celebrate. Not yet. I breathed. The moments after chaos were the most valuable. Stillness. Reflection. Truth. "Truth isn't a destination," I said quietly to Sebastian. "It's what we cling to when lies come calling." He nodded. Softly. The sun wasn't rising yet, but it would. Skyfall was ending. And the city below was worth defending. No more shadows. No more ghosts. Just accountability. And the slow, steady light of justice. My voice, once questioned, now had weight. I stood on that rooftop, hands free, heart raw, eyes forward, because I had one more than a company. I had reclaimed my name, my legacy, my life, and for the first time in a long time, I was home.